what I've been really interested in lately is the political environment which was able to foster such great philosophers back in Athens and that whole Greek Empire, right? Because something happened back then that really allowed for more people to flourish in terms of thinking, arguing, debating, really coming up with ideas, right? And what we've seen today is an absolute polarization in our society, obviously. And you wrote this book back in 2014, is that correct? Or
yeah, the first edition was in 2014. The second edition came out in 2018. All redone in light of Brexit and the Trump win.
It's almost like you prophesied it getting even worse, right? But what I'm interested in is, I guess, how do you see us getting back to that point where we can not disdain argument, not disdain debate, but look at it as some, and I think we're getting there because there's a lot of popularity around debating in our modern society now, but how do we get back to that point where we can have discussions with people knowing that it's a good thing to disagree and to work through the arguments, right?
Let me pause for a second and note that the Why We Argue book is a book that is in the spirit of Stoicism. It's civically minded. It's a form of political rationalism that we see ourselves and govern in light of our shared reason. That's an old Stoic Republican commitment. So you see it sort of as a kind of calling back to the Catonian model that we see, for example, from Cicero's on the Republic. And so the aspirations of that book are really out of an old Stoic Republican commitment. How we can re-achieve it requires a handful of things. One of them is a little bit of intellectual humility. We've got to be because if argument is going to be something that we use as a tool to resolve disagreements, we have to be open to argument changing our minds too. We give arguments, but we also have to be receivers of argument. And thinking on the one hand of critical thinking like it's just self-defense is the wrong model. It is self-defense, but it also is going to be something that's self-defense against yourself. And that's an important thing, namely that one of the biggest problems is not the fact that we believe others bullshit. It's that we believe our own. And so the crucial thing is being able to be open to hearing that. And that's one of the reasons why we need to have friends, and we need to have civic friends. And that means folks that are going to disagree with us and maybe who we think are wrong about a lot of things. But that civic friendship is one that allows us to be able to hear each other, be able to see that we are in a kind of a joint enterprise of self-government together. And that means that, for however deep those disagreements are, I don't like your barking dog is a relatively shallow one. We disagree about the sanctity of the life of a fetus is a deeper one. To who gets to live where in our society is a particularly who gets to be a member of us so immigration is going to be one of those places where in fact that is a deliberation about who we are and who gets to be part of we. Those disagreements are deep and abiding, and ones that in fact if they were just personal relationships, if it was just that we were living together and we were roommates or flatmates, as you say in London, we might move out, but we don't have that option. We live here together, and as a consequence, we have to find ways to value each other. And this is one of the reasons why Stoicism, again, I think is a place where we have some resources. One of them is not taking things so personally. And so being able to see that disagreement is the manifestation of the rationality of another person trying to do things by their best lights. and so not attributing evil motives to others. Again, that's a kind of a weird Stoic and kind of Socratic thought, which is, look, they do bad things not because they want to do bad things. They do bad things because they're wrong about what's good. And so maintaining that attitude is an important feature. And again, not taking it too personally, not feeling like you've been harmed, and that retributive inclination, the inclination of anger, is so destructive of the fabric of civic life. In the exact same way that it can be destructive of a personal relationship, it's very, very destructive of civic life. Because personal relationships, you got other stuff that buoys it. With civic life, it's like, look, I don't know these people from Adam, but but if I know who they voted for, now they're persona non grata for me. And that's a kind of a tenuous place that we are with each other. So rekindling that is hard. So my colleague Robert Talese, who I co-wrote Why We Argue With, has been doing a lot of research.
Just on a note, we might have to get you both on the show as well to talk about this sort of stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah. So I kind of went down a rabbit hole on this, but I'll just give you a quick nugget about Rob's research. Rob's research is about really rekindling civic friendship, what the challenge of it is. So he's done work on understanding how polarization works. Rob's research has shown that polarization is not just a cognitive phenomenon, it's an emotional phenomenon. And in fact, that seems to be the primary mover of it. It shows up as a cognitive feature, but it's really motivated by emotional background. And so whatever cognitive stuff that you do is really a kind of is only a kind of a papering over the main causes for why polarization is working. What you need is a reorientation, kind of a different comportment towards the folks around you. And the challenge is being able to find places where you can make that connection with folks regardless of their political orientation. It turns out that the modern world just doesn't have those places, right? It's like wherever you go shopping or get your coffee or even where you go on vacation is already pretty well predicted by your politics. And so you vacation even with people who you agree with politically. You get your coffee you work with, you live by people that you generally politically agree with. And so establishing civic friendship independently of political orientation turns out to be a much more difficult thing, given the way that the functions of polarization have sort of sorted us pretty significantly.